Hello and welcome everyone to Afro2Go Reviews. This is episode number 3, and today we're going to be doing a review of World's Finest Chocolates. This is a staple of a lot of charity events that people do. These sell for $1 each. This box was $45 on Amazon, and it's less expensive if you actually go to World's Finest Chocolates website. But there is a minimum of 8 to buy when you do it that way, so they're a little less expensive that way. We have in our midst today, we have the return of Robert, also Rylan, and we have Pete back for a return engagement, so it's exciting to get started on our review today. So the 6 different chocolates that we're going to be working with today are dark chocolate, almond, crisp, wafer, caramel, and milk chocolate. So we are going to get started here with dark chocolate. All right, chocolate number 1 is the dark chocolate. We're going to go ahead and give that a shot and see how we like it.
Oh, wow. It's got some bite to it. I'll say I'm a big dark chocolate fan.
This is dark chocolate.
It's dark chocolate. Yeah. I will say I eat a lot of dark chocolate. Generally like higher in cacao level. So this to me is a very mild dark chocolate. Okay. It's almost closer to me on the milk chocolate side of it than it is the dark chocolate.
Not to me, but I don't eat that much dark chocolate.
Yeah. If you were a dark chocolate aficionado like Rob here, then you would notice. But
right.
Yes, this is definitely a lower percentage of cacao.
Yes.
Than this one.
Yes.
And it is tasty, but not very dark.
Yeah.
And I don't like dark chocolate at all, so this actually is passable for me because it doesn't have as much of the bitterness that dark chocolate sometimes has for me. So yeah, I mean it's probably not going to be on the top of the line for me, but it's not as like.
So we're going to go rating scale 1 to 10
Okay.
again.
Yep.
Who wants to start? You want me to start?
Yeah, go ahead and start over there.
So again, big dark chocolate fan. I greatly prefer it over milk chocolate. That being said, not the best dark chocolate I've had. Little too sweet for me. In fact, very sweet for me.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really sweet for me. I'm gonna go an 8. We'll start off with an 8 and leave a little room for improvement there.
I'm not as much of a dark chocolate fan, especially just plain dark chocolate. Dark chocolate with like caramel and sea salt is the best, but just plain dark chocolate is not really my thing. Still good though, so I'd probably give it like maybe a 6.
Okay. I'm in the middle of a 6 and a 7 because normally it'd be a 3 or a 4 for dark chocolate for me, no matter what. But again, it's a little bit better than I thought it was going to be. So I'll go with in this case, because there's 5 more to go. I'm gonna give it some room, and I'm gonna say a 6.
Nice. I think Rob, we kind of echo each other's comments with this one. It's dark, but it's not dark enough. So I'm gonna go with 7.
All right.
All right. Next up, which one do we have? We're doing almond?
Next up is almond. All right, next we have the almond with milk chocolate. This is showing almond pieces covered in milk chocolate.
First bite, not a lot of almonds. I mean, I got them in there.
Well, yeah.
It's more like little bits of almond.
I got a little bit of it. I can see one.
Yeah.
There was one.
I had like a tiny piece of one almond.
Me too.
In there. Yeah, I don't know. When I think of almonds, I think of like the Hershey bar with almonds.
Yeah,
There's
agreed.
Big old.
big pieces. Yeah.
Yeah.
You taste the almond in there, which I like.
I got a little bit of it in that last bite.
Yeah.
But it's just because I singled it out. I saw a little bit and I just
Yeah,
went
no,
over
no,
it.
Yeah.
Went after it.
I agree with you, Pete. I'm used to those like Hershey, the dark chocolate nuggets
Yeah.
with they almost have full almonds inside there,
Right.
which are just it's for me. I think I definitely prefer that.
Yeah.
So, all right, we want to start down on Pete's side this time.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Yeah. No, I mean, it says almonds, but there are no almonds. So, although the chocolate tastes not bad, I'm gonna have to give it like a 4 because there's really no almonds in there. So hard to call it almonds if you don't get any when you bite.
Yeah, I think that these type of bars are hit or miss because you can have when they mix the chocolate with almonds together, you can have one part of the bar that has more almonds than another part of the bar. So it seems as though it would be better to centralize the almonds and then build around those with the chocolate. But I don't know how that's possible. So anyway, I didn't really taste an almond taste until the last bite. But it was very faint. So I'm not really an almond tasting chocolate, so let's go with a 5.
Yeah, I think I kind of agree with everybody else so far. Like, the chocolate was good. It was good milk chocolate. But as far as like chocolate with almonds, it was not really. Didn't really hit it. So I'd probably go with like a 5. I got a little bit of it at least.
Yeah, I'm going to have to follow suit there. I think, again, not a huge milk chocolate fan. I mean, it's very, very sweet, at least for my taste. I was really hoping, because I can deal with milk chocolate sometimes when you have that almond, kind of the savory there to offset it. So yeah, I'm gonna follow suit. I'm gonna say a 5 as well. So just wish there were more almonds in the actual bar itself.
Yeah.
All right, up next, what are we looking at?
Next, we have the crisp. So we're going to go with that next. All right, next we have World's Finest Crisp Chocolate.
Yeah, so I mean, very similar to like a crackle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say when I was a kid, these were probably my favorite. Well, I mean, I think everybody's favorite's the caramel, but I mean, this was a very close second for me growing up. The crispiness of it.
It's like a Nestle Crunch.
Mm-hmm.
It is exactly that. This one actually has the crisp inside. Like every bite had crisp.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this one fits the name.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I think for me, it's very nostalgic. There's something about the. Yeah. I mean, it's just. It's something about the crispy chocolate. It's just.
Yeah, those two together seem to go well. It's not really. It's hard to mess that one up.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Gary, you want to lead this one off?
I could start it. Yeah. I'm satisfied with the chocolate. I think the consistency of it is pretty good. I would say probably an 8 on the crisp.
Ryan, you want to go?
Yeah, I think I've got to agree. It's just good. It's not nothing crazy, but probably about an 8.
And yeah, again, not really a milk chocolate guy, but just because of the nostalgia of the crisp, it's definitely better than the almonds, which is sad because I don't think it would have been had the almonds actually had almonds.
Right.
I'm gonna go with a 6.
Ooh. Oh, nice. Okay. I'm gonna roll with the 7. This was a crisp. It had chocolate and it had crisp. The chocolate's pretty good. The crisp was nice. I had enough in there that it just tasted right. So 7 it is.
And the next round,
All right.
I'm excited about.
So the next round is a new addition to the family of World's Finest Chocolate. It is the wafer bar. So we're going wafer next. All right, let's do the wafer.
So, Gary and I had a discussion about this beforehand. I thought this was going to be more of like a Kit Kat type thing. Gary said he felt that it was going to be more of like the wafer cookies, like the vanilla wafer, or those types of cookies. And Gary was definitely right. Now, the only difference is, I don't know how well you can see, but it's like a wafer, but it's covered in chocolate,
Yes.
like coated in
It's a
chocolate.
reverse wafer.
Yes, yeah.
It's like if vanilla was on the outside of a wafer, that's how this tastes.
Mm-hmm. Very light.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's one that I hadn't had before for sure. I don't think that there's a. Is there a bar out there made by anybody that has that type of?
The closest thing I can think of is a Kit Kat. And even that is not.
Yeah, I mean, it is weird. That's a good point. It's kind of a hybrid because it's a little bit like a Kit Kat, but Kit Kats I don't feel like are that light and sort of like almost fluffy.
They're
inside.
more like a cookie almost.
Yeah.
But that one maintained like the texture of like the wafer cookie.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those when you eat it, it almost kind of dissolves in your mouth, like the wafer cookies do. There's almost just like nothing to it, but very, very good.
Yeah. Well, we have Rylan start on this one.
Yeah, I think that's definitely my favorite one we've had so far. So I think like it's just the texture of it and the taste of the wafer and the chocolate. I think I'm gonna go with a 9.
Wow, big score.
Big score.
I'll go next. I definitely liked it. I would say not quite as good for me as the dark chocolate, but I think it's right there. I'm gonna go 7 on that one.
All right.
The next, yeah. I mean, for me, it tasted like a Kit Kat. I mean, I guess there's a little difference there, but I'm not a big fan of Kit Kats. Wasn't a big fan of this one either. I'm gonna go 5.
Rylan's so insulted.
All right. Sorry. Hey, you're not the person who made World's Finest Chocolates. You don't have to be offended by it.
He's squeezing that bottle.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with Kit Kats, and I like wafer, like vanilla wafer and stuff. So I have an interest in this field of chocolate bars. I probably would say on this particular one, I'm gonna give it an 8. It's not bad. I give it a little bit of room because we've got a regular one coming up, and also obviously next is the caramel. So I think there's gonna be some room.
I almost gave it an 8.
All right. Up
Now
next
we're
is
on
the childhood
to
favorite.
the caramel.
Let's do it.
All right, now we're on to World's Finest Chocolate Caramel.
I'm really excited about that. Now, I got to say, before I even taste this, and I'm trying not to read your reaction, but growing up, this was, I think, a favorite of almost everyone. I remember there was always that rush whenever somebody was selling the World's Finest Chocolate to get the caramel.
Yeah.
Like it was always the, hey, you got any caramel left? That was always the first question. Then you're like, all right, no caramel. What else you got?
Yeah.
So I'm curious. Now, Gary made an observation regarding the looks of these versus kind of what we remember. So.
Yes, the size obviously was a little larger, had a little bit more to it than the dollar ones now. From what I understand, the $2 ones are larger. I don't know how much larger, or they're double in size of these. But they definitely were wider and had more, obviously, to them and caramel inside of them, each one. But, yeah, it was the one that everybody wanted the most. And in this box, it's actually comes 18 of the caramel come. That's the most that comes in the box. So, all right.
Yeah, it's I will say from my perspective, it's fairly similar to what I remember. Maybe a tad less caramel than I remember.
Mhm.
Definitely less caramel.
So it's not just me.
Yeah.
Because when I first bit into it, I vaguely remember this having more caramel. Like you'd eat it and the caramel like gushed out the sides of it.
Yeah.
This, I mean, there's definitely caramel in there. You can taste the caramel.
Yeah.
But it's, they're not very generous with the caramel.
Yeah, the ratio isn't as high on the
Yeah.
caramel.
Yeah.
I think it's the bar, like the size and the design of this one is just thin. And there's
Yeah,
not a lot of
yeah.
room for a lot of caramel, and so I got the taste, but it didn't remind me of growing up and getting like the caramel kind of falling
Yes,
out and like
yeah.
Yeah.
So
And another thing I remember about the ones when we were kids is they would almost kind of like, the chocolate would kind of like shatter in different areas when you bite into it. I didn't really get
That's
that in
like
this.
the Ghirardelli one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the chocolate, like you'd bite into it and the chocolate would kind of shatter, throughout the entire rest of the piece you were eating. And I didn't really get that. I mean, it held together. So I don't know if the chocolate is just thicker, maybe, or the type
That's
of
what I
chocolate.
thought. 'Cause there's very little like of a cavity for it to shatter.
That's a great point.
It's just
yeah.
like a solid brick of chocolate with a little bit of like a
Yes.
like a really thin like caramel layer.
It could also be, in addition though, we also used to keep our them in the refrigerator.
Oh yeah.
And so it makes
Yeah,
the
we did that
chocolate
too.
shatter, like break apart a little bit easier too in
Yeah.
that regard, because it's a little bit colder. But yeah. So where are we starting on this one?
I'll go.
It is, all right,
I'll
over
leave
there.
that there. So, I like it, and there's definitely the nostalgia piece to it. Definitely the nostalgia. Even though it's not quite the same as I remember it, I mean, it's still, the base is there. The base is there. For me, maybe it's just my old age, but, for me, it is just sweet on sweet on sweet. It's a sugar bomb. But there's something about it that's just so, it is really, really good still. And again, maybe that's nostalgia, who knows. I have a hard time putting it above the dark chocolate. Rylan's gonna give me a look for that. So I'm gonna go 7 on the caramel.
You couldn't even put it even with the dark chocolate?
No. If it makes you feel better, I would have rated the dark chocolate higher, having tasted what I've tasted now.
No.
I would have gone 9 for the dark chocolate.
It wasn't even that good. It was
Well,
dark chocolate.
compared to other dark chocolates, you're right. It's not that great, but it's just a personal preference. Like milk chocolate
your
for me.
preference is just wrong.
Milk chocolate for me. It's going to be hard for me to give any milk chocolate over a 7, just because I just don't love milk chocolate. With that being said, a 7 is that's a good score for these bars. Now, if you had like a dark chocolate sea salt caramel,
hey,
see, there you go.
Right.
Then that's 9 or maybe 10 territory for me. So it's just, again, not my preference. Doesn't mean they're bad for people who like milk chocolate. I mean, I'm sure it's there you go.
Yeah.
So there you go. If you're a milk chocolate fan, you probably want to follow what this guy's scores are saying. And Gary, because Gary, you're a milk chocolate guy too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, all right, Rylan.
All right, after that, I thought it was really good. I think I liked the wafer better because when I have
See, now the truth comes out.
when I have a caramel bar, I usually like it to be caramel and then a little bit of like a crisp, like a Twix kind of.
Oh. Okay.
Or if I want caramel, I want it to like offset the chocolate more and not like really like with the dark chocolate sea salt because the caramel almost becomes like savory with the sea salt. It's weird. It's hard to describe, but I prefer that when I have caramel. So when it just kind of blends in, it's still delicious, but it's just not quite as good as the wafer to me. So I'm gonna give it an 8.
Okay. I obviously this is the first time I've had this in a long time for all of us, and I had a lot of these when I was growing up. There was one year in particular that I was in Little League where we were supposed to sell 2 boxes each, and they stayed in our refrigerator the whole time because I didn't take them out because I wanted all of the caramel ones.
I think we all did that.
Yeah. So my parents had to pay for all the whole box and stuff like that. But the caramel ones were always the ones that I wanted out of the box the first, and a little disappointed. I wanted it to be have more caramel. I think that's going to be the one thing that we're going to say for the most part. But because I like milk chocolate more, and it did try, and I think that if you ate the whole bar, I'm hoping that if you eat a whole bar, that it's not just chocolate and a little bit of caramel, but I'm thinking that if you eat two, maybe you'll have more caramel in there. I don't know, but I will go with the 9. It just doesn't mess anything up. It tastes like it's supposed to. It should have a little bit more caramel, but I like the milk chocolate and I like caramel, so I'll give it a 9.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, for me, it just it tastes like they just took like a butter knife and put a thin layer of caramel, and so it's just not enough.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, overall, it's still good. I'm gonna go with the 7. I just wish, like everyone, it just had more caramel inside.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
One more round.
And
The classic.
And the final bar is going to be milk chocolate. No frills, no thrills, just the straightforward milk chocolate bar. So. All right, and now we're on to milk chocolate.
Crispy. Yeah. I mean, you know what? I can tell you already, I guess personally, I'm just not a fan of this chocolate, of this brand of chocolate. Which is so disappointing because as a kid, this was like the holy grail for me. But I think it was because, again, the nostalgia, the memories, like Gary said,
When you're a kid, all chocolate tastes good.
that is very true. That is a good point. Even those little bunnies, the chocolate bunnies you get, they're like 85% wax.
Yeah, they're wax.
Those were delicious. The little sugar nose and the eyeballs, they're great. Now when you have them, it's like, wow, how did I ever eat this? And I wouldn't go that far for this. It's not horrible chocolate. It's just, for me, it's extremely sweet. And I think that's what it's designed to be. It's it's for kids, and it's and like Gary said, I think every single one of us, minus Rylan, a little before your time for the world's finest chocolate, but I think every single one of us at one point or another were selling these, and our parents ended up paying for $30 of the $40 box of chocolate.
Yeah.
So it's just how it goes. Pete, you want to start us off with the milk chocolate?
Sure, yeah. I mean, it's a standard milk chocolate bar. For me, if I think milk chocolate, Hershey's is one of my favorites. Every once in a while, I don't eat a lot of chocolates, but I'll get just a plain Hershey's bar, and they're great. This chocolate just, I think like Rob said, it's not the best chocolate in the world. So plain milk chocolate, they did it right. It is sweet. I think that for some people they'll love it. For me, I'm gonna go 6 on this one.
All right. And yeah, I think that there could be a change in the recipe somewhat. By making them smaller, it might make have an effect on it as well. I've actually even had recently 2 different boxes of Ritz crackers, and one box of Ritz crackers actually tastes a little bit different than another box, and they're the exact same cracker. So it just might be also what they're like, because they made it smaller, they changed the recipe somewhat. So I have to say that there is some disappointment in the quality of the chocolate. This one here, I would say, as far as, because I am milk chocolate over dark chocolate, I would say that I'm going to give it a 7, because it is just a regular chocolate, but it doesn't mess too many things up. It's just chocolate.
Yeah, I think I kind of agree with everybody's point so far. And that contrary to the name, it's just standard chocolate. There's nothing special. It's sweet. It's almost, I can kind of see how it's sweeter than like normal milk chocolate almost. Which is funny because in the other ones I didn't feel that way. I think just because there was at least something else in it to where you weren't just tasting just chocolate. But I think it's like a 7 maybe. nothing special, but still pretty good.
Yeah, and I'd follow suit with that. I mean, again, very, very sweet milk chocolate. I'm with Pete. When I think milk chocolate, I think Hershey bar. You know, and that to me, if I'm gonna eat milk chocolate, it's gonna be something like that. You know, so with this, I'm gonna go 5.
All right.
We'll do a little tally here, and we'll figure out what our results are.
All right.
Do it.
All right, and we have our final tallies for the World's Finest Chocolate review, and the starting point, the lowest of the group is
Almond with 19.
Almond.
Oh, 19 points for almond. Which is sad, because almond chocolate bars are some of my favorite chocolate bars.
Yeah.
So clearly, I think they missed the mark. And this was not the world's finest almond chocolate bar.
There were no almonds.
And I had mentioned earlier, real quick, that some of the dark chocolate and the milk chocolate, you'll see the ingredients actually show ground almonds. So it's the last ingredient.
Oh, yeah.
So it's in dark and milk chocolate, and you don't taste any almonds in the actual almonds.
Yeah.
It's kind of strange.
That's
All
where
right.
the almonds went.
Yeah. That's right. All right, and the next one up from almonds is
Milk chocolate with 25.
milk chocolate.
That's a
Wow.
sharp increase.
over there.
Wow, milk chocolate beat almond by that much.
Well, it's because the almond chocolate wasn't necessarily worse. It was just worse compared to almond chocolate.
Well, and I think we were all just so disappointed in the
Yeah, we
almonds.
were just like, there's nothing there. It's
so
just milk chocolate.
but I agree. I mean, if you handed me the milk chocolate bar and the almond bar next to each other and said, which one do you want? I'd choose the almond bar.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, but I think we were so disappointed with the almond bar,
Yeah.
compared to the other bars.
Yeah, I agree.
Unfortunate.
All right, and next up is
Dark chocolate with 27.
dark chocolate.
That's our fault.
Dark
Yeah.
chocolate. That's me and you really used to give a pound for keeping that down.
That's okay, because I think Pete tanked your precious wafers.
All right.
The door is locked tonight.
And next up from the dark chocolate is
There was a tie between the crisp and the wafer. with
Oh!
Look at that.
Oh.
They had 29.
29.
I gotta say, that's pretty good, because for me, those two were about even.
Yeah.
I would probably prefer the wafer over the crisp, but I mean, both good. Both better of the selection.
Yeah, I would say that the wafer had a little bit more to it than the crisp did, as
Yeah.
far as like just embodying a whole. I really think, honestly, I know it would be a little bit more in our bodies to eat, but I think having 2 of the squares would probably be a little bit more of a test, a better test. I would never do that though, because this is way too much chocolate to begin with.
Yeah.
But I just think as far as getting enough of it, it might be that we should have had 2 each, but I'm glad we didn't. All right, and then so the winner is
Caramel with 31.
Caramel with
I don't think that
31.
shocks anybody.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, and again, so nostalgic about the caramel in general. And even though we were disappointed in it, I mean, it's still,
We
for what
weren't.
it is, it's still a good chocolate
Yeah.
bar. I mean, you weren't disappointed because you have nothing to compare it to.
Well, we weren't that disappointed. It was still good.
it's
It was
just the difference in the old bar that had like almost like a cup of caramel inside of it. You could
Yeah.
actually sometimes you could take off the top or the bottom
Yes.
of it, and you'd have it
Yes.
in there, and you'd eat that by itself.
Yes.
That would be the best part.
And then
So,
that would never happen with this bar.
No.
There's just not enough caramel.
yeah.
So
So, well, we have completed the World's Finest Chocolate Challenge or review. I think that overall, I think there is a little what you would call nostalgic disappointment. Like when you
Yeah.
look back on it, you want it to taste the same as it did before. But you know, there is a lot to be said for ingredients changing over the years and things like that. So, any final words?
I want to say thank you to Gary for providing
Yes.
the world's
Yes.
finest chocolate, and honestly for putting all of these together. You know, I think we all have a blast.
Yeah.
I would say please let us know in the comments if there's anything you would like us to try, any taste tests. You know, I think Pete and I will eat just about anything for the most part. These two a little more on the picky side.
Yes.
But you know, I think we're up for any suggestions and would be willing to try just about anything within reason for you.
Yes, I've even said that if there's enough people who want it, I will eat some vegetables if
Wow.
it's necessary. So
I don't know that Rylan's with you.
Depends on the vegetables.
Okay.
Are they cooked with butter and sugar?
Exactly. Or deep fried.
Right.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
Oh, man.
We could do a fruit one.
yeah,
Oh,
fruit
That
would be
would be
fun.
bad.
Yeah. Gary likes green apples.
Yeah, I'll eat fruit. I'll
Yeah.
eat fruit. I just have a trouble with the vegetables, but we'll see.
Yeah, so please let us know what you would like us to try. We're open for any suggestions.
Yeah, and it gets Pete up here to
Yeah.
to get to be part of it. So yeah, it's a lot of good times hanging out with everybody. So that'll do it for this episode. Thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you next time.